Hey, it's Toina, and welcome to Hanging with the Fellas. It's good to see you again on this Tuesday night. So, tonight we're going to talk about recognizing when you hear from the Lord and when somebody of power, persuasion, influence, and someone important is talking to you. So, before we begin, before we go into our scriptural reference tonight, there's something that I want to start with, and this is giving you a foundation to understand the creation of men or of you as a man and how God put you together to begin with. So when we go back into Genesis, the first thing we see is that God is talking to who? Adam. This is important because what that's telling you is that the way that the world has been set up is that it's set up for you and God to be in constant communication. Now understand that what we are talking about is specifically you as a man and not anybody else, any other roles. We're talking about men. So the beauty of the male design is that you see the entire world differently. Everything you experience impacts the way that you see the world. If you have a father who's overbearing, it causes you to have issues with men. If you have a mother who's overbearing or a strong female who was just unreasonable, it causes you to have issues with women. These are all the things that you really want to take the time to look at. So here's what I want to give you tonight. When God set up the household, he set it up so that you would be in command of that household. But it wasn't just the household you were in command of, it was your portion of the world. And because we were not designed to be under anybody else's employ, but to in fact have our own things going, we were never ever supposed to be in a position that we weren't in control of the things around us and the things in our lives. This is a new concept, and it was actually one of the things that was brought together as a way to destroy the family. Many people don't understand that. So here's what happens to you when somebody comes in and they begin to destroy your world. Number one, men today are really set in a place where they need kudos. They need to be acknowledged for everything that they do. The reason for that is not a natural reason. You were not born to be giving kudos for everything that you do. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, one of the things that you do well is to give other people kudos, but you don't often accept those kudos for yourself. Why is that? Because when you are heading and spearheading different things, you often do not get recognition. You, as the leader, are going to get the daggers when people are angry. You're going to end up in situations where people are mad at you, they don't want to talk to you, and this is how they react and respond when you don't give them what they want. But the beauty and the design of the man is that you don't succumb to what people want. As a matter of fact, the men who succumb to unreasonable expectations are the ones who are so broken that you have no question they are not walking with the Lord. Because there is no man who walks with the Lord who does not hold steadfast to the things of the Father. It's just part of your design, it's how you were built. So, one of the things that the demon works diligently to do with our men, especially, is to destroy how you see yourself. If he can come in and make sure that you have been battered and abused, that you're rebellious, that all you ever want to do is fight, you look for reasons that people are against you, if he can corrupt the design that you were given from birth, you will destroy not only your generation, but subsequent generations, your children, your spouse, your grandchildren. And that's what he needs you to do. You see, what you're looking at in our world today is a world that has been completely destroyed and devoid of male role models and male leadership. It's something that we don't often get to see anymore. You don't see fathers stepping up to the plate and doing that which is right. You don't often get to see fathers stepping up and dealing with other people's children because, see, the more we can shut down men, the more crazy that the world gets. And the more we shut down powerful men, guess what else happens? These weak men begin to rise to the surface. So when you look at things that are happening within the world, anytime a bully is trying to take power, it's because the weak men are being given a voice, they're being given a place. Men, you all know, you don't sit back and just take nothing, take anything, but you are also wise in understanding what it when you're actually taking something versus when it's in your mind that you're taking something. So, let me explain this in a tad bit different way. And I'm going to show you a video clip, not right now, but in a few minutes. Here's what I want you to understand. Let me give you an example. Jackson is a man that I've worked with, and he was abused by a father growing up. He was actually abused by two people, a father and a brother. And his brother did some things that actually violated him. His father just consistently beat up on him, telling him he was worthless and he was never going to amount to anything. There were certain things in Jackson's life that were never an issue. One of those things was money. When you look at Jackson today, here's what you see. You see a man who money comes to all the time, but does not have the slightest clue how to structure a family. So his house is a mess. He has children living in different places. He's made decisions that open doors for him to lose these children. All of these are things that he has done as a result of his father breaking down his foundation. Okay. When a father chooses to step out of an equation, when a husband chooses not to walk in his position, the whole family suffers. That is just a God given deal. And don't be one of these people who sits up here and professes that you follow the Lord and now all of a sudden you're leading your family astray. Oh, there are prices to be paid, and the entire family is going to fall. And the more you sit back and blame them for it, the more what you end up realizing is that, I'm sorry, the more you blame the family for that, the more damage you're doing to that family. Are you with me? So, when you understand that your design is to bring calm, understanding, and wisdom to every situation, what that means to you is that there are certain manners in which you are supposed to walk. Number one, you should always be a student of the word. You got to know what the Father says and how he guides you in being both a husband and a father. You don't get to do things that are self-serving. You don't get to worry about yourself first. Really, what has to happen is that you first have to worry about your family. They are number one, first and foremost. Okay. Number two, while you're studying to show yourself approved of the word, you also need to be a student of those things in life so that you know how to make sure you set your family up in case anything happens to you, in case there's any problems, anything of that sort. If you have health issues, if you pass away, your family needs to be taken care of. The reason that the Bible tells you that you will know a man who loves his wife, and this is just a paraphrase of a verse, I'm not quoting anything directly, is when his family is taken care of. If he passes away and she's left harmed, that's on him because he should have looked down the road and been prepared just in case something happened. Now, we're talking about godly relationships. We are not talking about worldly relationships. You got a whole different set of rules out there for that. And then you will have to talk to somebody else because I have zero interest in what happens in worldly relationships. I think it's ridiculous and it's a waste of time. So, If that's what you're focused on, none of what I'm saying is gonna help you. You can get some of the principles, you can make some of the things like make sure your family can be taken care of. But if you're one of those people who sits back and goes, I don't want another man living off my money, then you're a fool and there's no use for you. Like you're not truly walking with the Father because your mindset is wrong. Why would you begrudge your wife another spouse if you're dead? You're not coming back. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any logical sense. So you have to show wisdom, and wisdom comes through understanding the processes of this world. You don't have to be a friend of the world, and that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is understand what systems exist in this world and then make sure that your family can survive without you. They can take the money that you have made throughout your lifetime and use that so that generation after generation doesn't have to go through the same pain that you've gone through. These are all things that we need to look at. And so, what happens when we come from, or when you as gentlemen come from abusive families or broken backgrounds, which all of us have in some way, we begin to beat ourselves up. We lose sight of what God has set up for you. And that's really what happens. You see, everything in this world begins with you, those of you who serve the Father. When you make a decision that something is going to be, it is that. But when you don't make a decision or you sit back wishy washy, I don't know, I've never done this before, I don't know. When you do that, you just destroy the foundation of everything that is being built. It is better for you to not be involved than to come to anything in that way. It stops you from taking your place in the situation, from playing your God given role. When you have these broken backgrounds, when the demon comes in and he starts altering your life, this is one of the major things that he first goes for. As long as you don't take your place or you don't walk in your role, essentially what happens is, like I said, everything around you is corrupted and destroyed. It messes everything up. You have to set the pace for things to move in a certain way. And that means you have to educate yourself to understand what it is that you're dealing with. Finally, you can be used to destroy entire generations. Only a man has the power to destroy generation beyond generation beyond generation beyond generation. Oh, you can have some silly women out there who do some silly things, but if the man is strong enough, her damage can never be that because you have more power. It's actually really interesting. If you ever pay attention, test this out with your family. The dog loves the man, the children love the man. They all run to dad first. The wife loves the man. Everybody hangs on dad. But boy, when dad is not doing what dad is supposed to do, even the dog doesn't want to spend time with dad. And that's when you know you have a problem. To give you a better understanding of this, I want to show you a video clip. And so Anna's going to bring up that clip for us real quick.
She sounds bad again, Pop.
I know.
She needs her medicine.
What am I gonna do, huh? I can't afford it right now. Hospital's still after me for last time she was there.
Yeah, well, someday I'm gonna buy that whole darn hospital. And they'll wish they treated her better, I swear to heaven.
What are you babbling about?
I'm gonna be a billionaire. Like this man, Andrew Carnegie.
Get it in your head, son. You ain't ever gonna be rich. Only thing you're ever gonna be able to count on is coming up on the short end. That's what was handed me by my daddy, and I'm sorry, but that's all you're ever gonna get from me.
That's what happens when you're a man who's allowed yourself to be destroyed. Now, understand this: the only person, the only being that has the ability to get to you is the enemy, it's the demon. And what does he go for? He goes for your mind. Because as long as he can take control of your mind, what you saw that father going through is exactly what you'll do. And so many of you will sit back and you will pronounce death over your children and not even realize that you're doing it because in your own mind, you believe that it's that bad. You believe. You take jobs that are less than what you want to do. You don't fight to keep income coming in until you reach certain levels, or you keep income coming in, but you don't want to spend time with people because in your world, hey, I brought in all the income. I need to relax. I. That's not being a father. There's no such thing as dad gets to come home and take a break. No, dad gets to come home and change the direction of his family. So understand this, dad. You got job number one, if you choose to go to it, that brings in the income. And job number two ensures that you never have to work again because you are guiding your second generation to be able to take over everything that you've got going, everything that you guys are building together. You see, when you don't understand who you are in the Father, then when He sends someone to come and talk to you, you won't believe Him. Let's bring up our verse for tonight. Luke chapter 1.
Right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled. There appeared unto him an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. And he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. And Zacharias said unto the angel, Whereby shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife well stricken in years. And the angel answering said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God, and am sent to speak unto thee, and to show thee these glad tidings. And behold, thou shalt be dumb, and not able to speak until the day that these things shall be performed, because thou believest not my words, which shall be fulfilled in their season.
Anna, I need you to bring me up verse 19 of that on the screen, and let's do a side by side of the verse and me. Because Brian, our lovely reader for this evening, he did not do that verse justice. And I want you to go back through and read this again. He is talking to the angel Gabriel. He has the audacity to say to Gabriel, yeah, I hear what you say, but how do I know this is what's going to happen? I'm old and my wife is old. And Gabriel was beside himself. You see, I always try to be very careful with the translations that we use because this particular translation did this all wrong. First off, Gabriel was angry and he said, I am Gabriel! Exclamation point. That stand in the presence of God. Okay. So here's what I want you to understand. Not every angel gets to stand in God's presence. There's only some who actually get to stand in the presence of the Father and see what it is that He has to say and deliver messages and come hither and to come to and fro wherever they're being sent. Only a few select. Michael gets to go before the Father, Gabriel gets to go before the Father, and there are a few others. So for you to stand in front of Gabriel and say, how do I know what you say to me is real, oh, that's an insult beyond insult. But here's what you've got to understand, it's a difference in perspective. Gabriel knows God is real, he's not questioning it down here because your hope has been so badly battered and bruised and beaten. Many of you aren't really sure. And when you choose to walk outside of what your design was as a man, when you decide to walk outside of that, what you're saying to God is, I'm really not sure that you are who I think you are. And that's the problem. You see, God is who he says he is. He is always going to be who he says he is. And our problem is that we don't want to believe him. And your problem as the leader is that when you don't believe him, you don't have any power. All you are equipped to do outside of the Father and the Son is to bring destruction. All you can do is destroy households because you were never designed to work separate of him. You were always designed to be in concert with the three of them. It was always supposed to be a triangle. You were in the center. The Father is at the Son. The right hand is the Father is at the top. The Son is at the right, and the Holy Spirit was at the left. And you're in the center. And that's how you were designed to guide and to lead. And when you step out of that, what ends up happening is destruction. Outside of that sacred place that you were designed to be, you can't bring anything but destruction. And you've got to understand that. So if you then understand that everything that the demon does, that all the people who come into your life to destroy you are designed just so that you can destroy yourself and the people you were sent to impact, and you choose to walk in that, then you have made a decision. And that decision is not to serve the Father, it's to serve his Son, the created being known as Satan. You got to understand that it's that black and white. And that's what is so amazing about this. You see, you set the tone for everything. And the sooner you understand that, the more and the better you will do. So I want to take you to our next set of verses, which is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You see, that's your verification that you and Christ are supposed to be hand in hand, that you and the Godhead are all supposed to work in concert. You have already been given what you need to do everything. You see, God's not going to send you something that you don't need. If you have a woman in your life who has big, humongous dreams and has the ability to take you guys and your family where you want to go, then he also equipped you to come up with everything that she needs to take your family there. And if you're not walking in that, it's because of the choices that you're making. And it's those choices that are keeping you, the family, and everybody in harm's way. You've got to start making a choice as to who you serve and then how you want to make that situation work with the tools that you've been given. You are powerful. As men, as a man, you are powerful. But you have to first believe that God is for you and he's not against you. Let's go to Matthew 24:12. You see, this world becomes very complicated because iniquity abounds and the love of the many wax cold. That's the key of the demon. If he can get your love for the Father to begin to wax cold, then he wins. He wins against you. He wins against the people that are in your life for a reason. He wins and you begin to destroy them. And everything you do becomes about yourself. And when you become that individual who is narcissistic and selfish, again, you are destructive. Nothing can survive while you live in that place. So, how do you become this man who walks with the Father? Number one, you listen. You listen to what he says. You read what he says. And you understand that when he sends someone with a message for you, you accept that message. Let's go to one last verse, and it's Hebrews 11:36-39. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover, of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. I want you to understand that. You see, there are people in this world that you will encounter. Anna, let's remove the verse. There are people in the world that you're going to encounter who are better than this world will ever see them for. They're people who will give the shirt off their back. They will bend over backwards. Their love for the Father is genuine. They are on fire for Him all day, every day, regardless of what circumstances or situations they're going through. They have this love for humanity and for people, and they don't let anything destroy them. And these people who stand through these beatings and these hardships, the world wasn't worthy of them. Because the world wants to be evil and it thinks that it's easier to accept that evil. You see, when we go back to Luke 1:11-20, what we see there is that Gabriel comes, lays out an entire plan for Zacharias. And instead of saying, "Thank you, I accept what the Lord has offered me," he sits back and goes, how am I supposed to know that this is that this is going to happen? So then what happens in today's world is no different. God sends someone before you, they give you a message, and instead of receiving that message that you know well answered whatever question you had, you let it go. You blow it off, and now you lose the blessing because you made a choice. And that choice was to refuse what God said. You see, angels still come. Angels still have conversations with people. Angels will come and stop your vehicle as you're getting ready to go into the back of another vehicle. They are still here every minute of every day. And the reason we don't see them is because when we see the miracles, we don't believe them. And that's the goal of the enemy. If he can get you to a place where you just stop believing, he's got you. You become the father that we saw in that clip. You tell your kids, you ain't never going to be nothing because I ain't nothing. This is all you're ever going to be. But that's not who you are supposed to be. How am I supposed to afford it? There was never a time that you were supposed to be driven by money and whether or not you can afford it. You see, I can sit here until the cows come home and tell you you can afford all things that you choose to afford. Let me tell you, there are men, fathers, who run households who, God forbid, the family should need food. Oh, but they got money for him to buy drugs, right? Understand that as men, you got money for whatever you want. You just have to want it bad enough. You have to want a future. You have to want to see success in the future, and you can't tie it to something else. So let me give you an example. There are some men who say, well, if she and I aren't going to be together, then there's no need for me to have extra money or to get this to this level. Okay, That's your selfishness, and that is exactly how how Satan wants you to work. Congratulations, you ain't working in line with your father. You're working in line with the demon. Who do you serve? That's the question. Who do you serve? So, on that note, I want you to always open your ears and listen, because you never know when you are entertaining angels unawares. It's something that we all do on a regular basis. And sometimes it's not an angel, sometimes it's a person that the Father sent. There was another video I wanted to show you tonight that I happened to hear. And I want to bring this to you because there's nonsense out there that I want to make sure each one of you knows. And so here's the thing, the goal is, if I can destroy God, then I can destroy his word. And if I send people who mistakenly say things about the Bible that is just blatantly false, for example, if the Bible were written by God, all four of the Gospels would tell the same story. Well, no, that's not true. That's just not true. First off, let's go back to Isaiah 55, where God says, "My ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are higher than your ways, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts." Okay? You are never going to have the deep understanding that the Father has. You're not designed that way. You are finite and you will be finite. So if he chose not to have all four gospels say the same exact thing, that was his choice. But it does not make the Bible any less inspired by God. So here's the thing. People want to say that God's not the one who set forth all these rules, because the world has become corrupted and it wants to believe that love means I let you do whatever you want to do, regardless of the harm that it does to you. That is not love. As a matter of fact, I would charge you that letting you do whatever you want to do, whatever brings about your destruction, is hatred. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that if I don't say something to you when you want to do something, I hate you. Men hate you. Fathers hate you. Mothers hate you. When they let you do whatever you want to do, they hate you. That's not love. But we want to believe that whatever we want to do is fair game for us. You see, the Bible isn't written to, although it does glorify God, it's written to give you an understanding of what you're dealing with in humanity. There's so many different ways we can wrap up. Listen, the Bible is a book about a kingdom. It's a book of how you should live your life, basic instructions before leaving earth. It's a book about how to live your life free from fear. There are so many things contained within the Bible that if you go in and actually harness it, you would be amazed at the things that you learn. But here's what I want you to understand. Your choice is to read that book and to understand that God sent it here, not for him, but for you. Because without it, you would have no foundation of truth. You see, without truth, you don't have a stable platform. And when you don't have a stable platform, your ground is always missing. Okay. So I'm going to go into something. And I know many of you are going to get mad, and that's okay. You can get mad. But I want to talk to you about something, because this is my biggest pet peeve. When people come in and they say, we want to have children, and they're couple of the same, of two of the same genders, I say, it's impossible for you to have children. And you know what they say to me every time? What are you talking about? We can adopt. Well, that's not having a baby, because that required a male and a female. You cannot be of the same gender and produce a child. You cannot be, it's not like, can we stop pretending that there are certain things in this world that are not just a physical impossibility? Two females, two males are never going to produce a child. That's not the combination that does it. So let's stop pretending that this is something that's real, that this is something that's an optional. While you may choose to be in a relationship with someone of the same sex, that's fine. but you're not going to give birth to children without there being sperm involved. And gentlemen, you're never going to give birth to children because neither of you have a womb. You have to adopt. That's not having children. Having children is having children. You are choosing to adopt. Okay, so go adopt. I don't understand what the problem is, but let's not pretend that that's something that combination can create life. It doesn't. And it's because we don't want to hear these kind of things that we try to outlaw the Bible. See, if we don't want to hear it, we want to shut it down. And I want you to understand that part of what really hurts men, what hurts you as a man, is this: it's when the lies of our society begin to permeate and you start to get confused about what's real. Here's the deal: the truth is not hard, it's a stable platform, it's immovable. It doesn't matter who cuts you off. It doesn't matter who shuts you down. It doesn't make the truth any less true. If I am sitting here with another woman, she and I are never going to produce a child. Why is this complicated? It's not. It's just science. Everybody always wants to talk about science. It's science. And no, life is not going to find a way. They're not suddenly going to metamorphose and start giving birth. It doesn't work that way. You can try it for hundreds of years, it will never change. Okay? That's why we have the Bible. When people come in and they want to attack that word, I want you to remember that what they're trying to attack is your foundation. It's your stable footing that doesn't move. You have to choose not to allow them to destroy that footing. Find someone whenever you get confused about something that's in the word, who understands the word, and ask them to explain it to you. That's how you do it. You with me? So, if you like this video, you know what to do. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to subscribe. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you know every single time we release a new video. And by the way, for those of you who are really concerned about what's going on in this political system in America, join us over on the Biblical Understanding of American Politics, where every Wednesday and 5 minutes a day we go live and talk about what's going on within the political race, how to look at it from the Bible's perspective, and how to continue to grow through your faith. Because let's be honest, faith is going to go with us wherever we go. And so what I want you to understand is that realizing the truth and understanding the truth does not mean that you have hatred for people. Some of the people I love the most are gay. I could care less. At the end of the day, that's God's decision and it's his place. We don't have hatred for people, but we also don't live in a world filled with lies. We tell the truth, we live by the truth, we understand the truth. Other people don't have to like it. It doesn't make it any less true. And that's what the biblical understanding of American politics is all about. It breaks down all these lies that people are trying to tell you, all these falsehoods about the Bible, and it puts it into very clear, understandable words that make all of this easier to grasp. So we'll see you over on that channel. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next week.